Well, with Real Madrid about to kick off their campaign tomorrow, this is Xabi Alonso talking about Franco Mastantuono. He said he's going to integrate very quickly into the team. He could get minutes tomorrow. He'll bring quality energy, is committed defensively and has good momentum. I've seen that he has that drive and that Argentine competitive spirit. He's good with the final pass. He is at a very good level. Let's welcome in our Madrid correspondent, Alex Kirkland, now, who will be at the Bernabeu for us tomorrow. What's the hope here then, Alex? Is it that Real Madrid have got their hands on their own teenage sensation, given what we're seeing with Lamine Yamal over at Barcelona?
Well, there's a lot of excitement about Mastantuono, no question about that, and especially from Xabi Alonso. You read the quote there. I think you can see it, you can hear it in his voice. Every time Alonso talks about Mastantuono, he thinks this guy's a special player. And like he was saying there, it's about two things. Yes, he's got the quality, but it's also about his character. Alonso, every time he talks about him, keeps kind of repeating about how mature he is. He talked today about the first conversation he had with Mastantuono when he was still 17, and he was struck by that this was a man. You know, this wasn't a boy. He's got this incredible kind of level-headed maturity. He's taking everything in his stride. And when you add that to the quality that he's got, yeah, talking about that Argentinian fighting spirit as well. I mean, he makes him sound like a really complete player. Now, we've got to bear in mind, he only turned 18 on Thursday. He was presented on Thursday, had his first training session on Friday. So he's literally had, you know, a handful of training sessions with the team. So exactly what role he plays tomorrow in this game against the Bernabeu against Osasuna, would it be from the start? I think that might be unlikely, as much as Alonso likes him. But as he said there, he's ready and available to play some minutes, even if it's not from the start.
So you don't see him starting tomorrow, Alex. Who do you see starting? Talk us through your 11 against Osasuna.
Yeah, there's a couple of question marks. One of them is on the right-hand side of the attack, which is where Mastantuono might fit in if he were to play. I reckon that Brahim Diaz probably gets the nod there. It's between Brahim, Rodrigo and Mastantuono, with, of course, Bellingham out as he recovers from that shoulder surgery. Alonso was talking about Brahim Diaz again today, saying how much he likes him as a player, a kind of a combination player, a player that makes the players around him look better. He started in their friendly last week and did pretty well. So I think that there's a good chance that Brahim Diaz starts on the right-hand side of the attack. The other big question mark for me is in defence, and it's also on the right-hand side. It's at right back, and that's between Trent Alexander-Arnold and Dani Carvajal. Of course, Trent, you know, the big name coming in this summer. He's the player that was starting at right back during the Club World Cup. But I don't think we should write off Dani Carvajal either. It's easy to forget, you know, what a high level he's been at for so many years. Such an important player for Real Madrid, one of the biggest characters, a leader in the dressing room as well. I don't think we can write off Dani Carvajal, but I think right now, given the role that Trent has played in the team so far since he arrived, and the fact that Carvajal, of course, has spent so much time out through injury, I think Trent is the favourite to start ahead of Carvajal. But like I say, that's not saying that that's a permanent decision. That might just be for now.
This is the season that Real Madrid are looking to come back. Barcelona already have a win under their belts. Real Madrid were playing in the Club World Cup. Do you think that's going to affect them in this game?
I think we've seen around Europe that it has affected some teams, but in reality, they still have enough quality to be able to get across the line at this stage. I think maybe they'll find their best a little bit later to say some of the other teams that weren't away this summer. But it's very tough to bet against them, to be honest. I think we've seen historically, in particular, they've always found a way. And with the quality that they have now and the depth that we're speaking about in relation to that, and I think something that you can't really quantify as well is that desire to make amends for what came the year before. Sometimes you can feel the tiredness, you know, you can feel the stress, but they want to regain that title. They want to show exactly who they are. And it's fair to say that in the duration of last year, they were almost unrecognisable at times. So I think it's going to be, obviously, a tough game as such, physically. But in terms of the mentality and all that, I'm pretty sure they'll find a way.
We've got to win.
They have to, and I think they will. And to Nedum's point, I think, without question, Real Madrid have more than enough talent to cope with Osasuna, even with a shortened pre-season. The only thing for me, the thing that kind of upsets me most about Real Madrid is this kind of us against them mentality, and you saw it again, wanted the opening game, pushed even further back, and it seems to be as though Real Madrid are taking exception to everything that La Liga suggests, or if the La Liga pushes back against any of their requests. I just feel that for a club of that size, that kind of siege mentality can only work short term. So Real Madrid just have to settle into who they are. They have to regain, or aiming to regain, top spot in the league. Let that be their only focus, and not kind of pick these arbitrary fights everywhere else they look.
Meanwhile, in the background, there's some breaking news coming from Madrid, Alex. You've got that on Vini Jr.'s contract. What's the latest and what's going on?
Yeah, our information from our colleague Gustavo Hoffman is that those contract talks have stalled for some time now, for weeks. Basically, what happened at the end of last season was that Vini's camp kind of put out a kind of number they'd expect to receive from Madrid in terms of that new contract. Madrid then came back with a counter offer, basically. And since then, there hasn't been any progress because basically the sort of numbers that Real Madrid were talking about weren't considered acceptable to Vini and his representatives. So right now, their attitude is, well, let's just wait. Let's see how things go. Now, of course, right now, in terms of a negotiating position, Vinicius Jr. isn't in the strongest position given his performance last season. He wasn't at his best last year, had a pretty inconsistent year, certainly a step down from what we'd seen the previous year. And I think their hope is, well, let's wait and see if Vinicius Jr. has a storming start to the season and is back at his absolute best again, then he's in a stronger position to negotiate a new deal. I think their position is there's no hurry. 2 years left until 2027. And the club, of course, wouldn't want the situation to drag on and on, but also they're reluctant to pay the kind of money that Vini is and his people are talking about. And our information is that figure would be looking at some 20 million euros net, plus another 10 million euros in terms of bonuses and variables, and that's not something the club are willing to consider. So right now, there's no movement. But like I say, I think the idea from Vini's side is, well, if he gets back to his best, let's come back in a few weeks or a few months, and he's back as one of the best players in Spain again. Then the club might be more likely to offer the kind of numbers that they'd be happy to accept.
Are they playing a dangerous game there, or are they out here playing 4D chess?
Real Madrid?
No, Vini's people.
To be honest, I think I would get out of bed for 20 million net a year. I think I would you?
Well, for breakfast.
I think maybe they are playing a dangerous game in some ways, but I think if Vinicius Jr. became available, especially on the open market in a couple of years, I think he would have plenty of suitors and that money would be available to him. So yes, they're going to back the player, they're going to back him to know that he can be better than he was, say, the last year. And Real Madrid are going to be hard. This is like prime negotiation. I think obviously there'll be a point where they'll probably meet in the middle. But for now, Vinicius thinks this is his value and he's not going to move from that. And the better he plays, the more you'll see that, yeah, that value seems a bit more realistic at some stage. But it is going to be interesting again because I think in regards to what's ahead, under a new manager in Xabi Alonso, is it guaranteed that like he's going to be doing everything he can to build a team almost around him in some ways? Like, how's he going to look in a Xabi Alonso side? Not just for a Club World Cup or for the first couple of games, like for an extended stretch. So yes, in some ways you could say it's a dangerous game, but this is the art of the negotiation, isn't it?
It's interesting though, Shaq, because there's a few years ago we would have never thought there was any talk of Vini Jr. even potentially leaving Real Madrid. And does it feel as though that's changed to you?
Not right now. Not in terms of Vini leaving Real Madrid. Not right now. I think Vini's agents, his representatives, are doing exactly what they should be at this point. Because while we're talking about Vinicius Jr. and the temptation is to say, well, last season wasn't his best. 2 years ago, Real Madrid pretty much nailed their colours to Vinicius winning the Ballon d'Or, and then Kylian Mbappe arrives. And now, from a player perspective, or at least if I'm that player's agent, Kylian Mbappe becomes the bar, and now. Make what you like about whether you got him for free for PSG or not, whatever else it may be. I'm looking at performances on the park. And while Kylian Mbappe won the scoring title last season, I'm still thinking that Vinicius Jr. at his best is the one more likely to win the Ballon d'Or. I'm speaking as Vinicius' agent here.
Of course, yes.
Vinicius is more likely to win the Ballon d'Or, kind of given his performances of 2 years ago. So therefore, I want Kylian money. And now, Real Madrid, to their defense, are probably saying, well, we can't pay Kylian twice. But that's where I am as a player. Now, it's up to you to make it work. And now, all of a sudden, and the fact that we're 2 years out from the end of his contract is key, because come next summer, the power shifts significantly to the player in being able to walk away in 6 months' time, or sign a contract in 6 months' time, walk away for free in 12 months' time. So again, for me, it may be a dangerous game, but it's absolutely the right one that his agents are playing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And to go back to a day during this ESPN FC marathon I've been on, there was a point where Steve McManaman was sitting here, and he was talking about Xabi Alonso and how he's been back from the people above. And this was in regards to how he wants the team to play and the effort and defending that needs to be done. And this was, say, for example, in the discussion about Kylian Mbappe, to where Steve McManaman sat there and he said, if Mbappe is not running as much as he needs to, Xabi Alonso is allowed to put him onto the bench. So now, think about those issues we had with Mbappe. Are they not the same issues we had with Vinicius Jr.? So I fully believe that Vinicius Jr. can go back to being one of the best players in the world, obviously. But it's not necessarily going to be on his terms in a way that maybe we saw in years gone by. So it's an interesting thing to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's a really good segment, that, from you guys. Saw that one.
Thank you.
Liked it.
Thank you.
Maka was talking a lot more rubbish at the weekend. Let me tell you, after that Mallorca game.